Peacemaker Season 2 Episode 8 Review. I was mixed on the season finale, but I'm glad we finally know what James Gunn's DCU plans. You know that feeling when a show ends, and you just sit there, staring at the screen like, wait, did that really just happen? Yeah, that was me after finishing Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 8. I've got mixed feelings, like genuinely torn. Because while the finale should have been explosive, it instead pulled the rug in the weirdest, James Gunn-esque way possible. But here's the wild twist: it secretly revealed the blueprint for Gunn's entire DCU. Yeah, the one we've all been dying to understand. So, let's unpack the chaos. Because this isn't just a review, it's the forbidden map to where the new DC universe is really going. Let's start with the big question: did James Gunn just make Rick Flag CERN, the villain who launches the DCU's next phase? Now, I'm not exaggerating. This finale literally turns Flag from the guy who once saved the world into a cartoonishly grinning, Luthor-loving maniac. I was watching him laugh with Lex's team thinking, bro, did you just forget you hated these people? Flag's villain descent. It's the emotional equivalent of watching your strict dad join a biker gang overnight. It's bizarre, but also suspiciously purposeful. Because here's the first secret: Flag's fall isn't bad writing, it's a setup for the DCU's moral collapse. The moment where the so-called heroes start to blur into villains. The same theme Gunn teased in the Suicide Squad, and the same one that Creature Commandos and Superman, Man of Tomorrow will pick apart piece by piece. But wait, before we get deep into the hidden roadmap, let me just say this: if you love breakdowns that go beyond the surface, you're literally missing out if you're not subscribed. Because on Breakdown Epic, we don't just review, we decode what shows aren't saying out loud. Alright, back to the mess, because Peacemaker's finale, it wasn't an ending, it was a confession. Think about it: Episode 7 built up a ticking time bomb. Peacemaker behind bars, Rick Flagster gaining access to the QUC, the Justice Gang's interference with Baravia's army. Everything screamed, final showdown. But instead of fireworks, we got silence, conversations, emotional closure, and maybe that's what threw everyone off. Because Gunn didn't want a big CGI war. He wanted a funeral for the old DCU. Yeah, I said it. This finale quietly buries the Snyder-era DNA. The endless punching, the grim tone, the operatic despair. It's all gone. In its place, we got something way more uncomfortable: vulnerability. Conversations about guilt, love, loss, and what it means to be human after doing inhuman things. Like that moment where Leota realizes she has to let Kia go. Danielle Brooks destroyed that scene. Like, actually tore my heart open. It's rare that a superhero show gets me misty-eyed, but that one. Yeah, I had to pause and pretend I was just checking my phone. And then there's that scene. The 11th Street kids telling Peacemaker he was loved. You could feel Cena's mask crack just a little. That micro-expression. That was pain, guilt, and relief all crashing into one. The show stopped being about guns and helmets. It became about healing. But of course we can't ignore what was missing. Where the hell was Keith? Where was Earth X? Why set up a revenge subplot just to ghost it in the finale? Here's where the second layer of forbidden knowledge kicks in. Because the absence of those storylines wasn't an accident. Gunn used the finale as a soft reboot. By ignoring Keith and Earth X, he effectively closed the book on dangling arcs from the old Peacemaker era, the Mac's original tone, and set the stage for Peacemaker's film-ready version. Notice how the ending literally locks him away in Salvation, a prison world run by none other than Lex Luthor and Rick Flag. That's not a random cliffhanger. That's the DCU's next containment storyline. The exact concept that threads into Superman Man of Tomorrow. Here's the crazy part: Peacemaker isn't being sidelined. He's being upgraded. By making him the first prisoner in Salvation, Gunn just positioned him as the emotional anchor for the DCU's future conflicts. Think about it: who better than Peacemaker, a man who's been both hero and villain, to become the DCU's moral conscience? It's classic Gunn. Every laugh, every awkward conversation, every WTF moment is secretly part of his therapy for this broken universe. And honestly, I kind of respect it. But there's still that one major contradiction eating at me. Why make Rick Flagster the villain now? Because if you remember Creature Commandos and Superman, the guy literally stood against Luthor's tyranny. He was anti-corporate, anti-control. So how did he go from protect the world to create a cosmic prison in like 3 episodes? Here's my theory: Flag's villain turn isn't random, it's manipulated. Lex didn't recruit him, he rewrote him. The clues are right there. Flag laughing too long, talking too fast, echoing Lex's lines from episode 6. It's eerie. And the DCU's next phase might just reveal Lex's experiments with mind tampering. Remember the Salvation concept art leaks Gunn teased months ago? The glowing neural nodes, the RGS insignia, the human silhouettes. Those weren't visual fluff. They were glimpses of the prison tech that controls its inmates. If that's true, then Rick Flagster didn't just turn evil, he got reprogrammed. And that, dear viewer, is the secret door to the next era of Gunn's DCU, the era of controlled heroes. Superman's gonna face that head on in Man of Tomorrow. The question isn't, can he save the world anymore? It's, can he save himself from being rewritten too? Alright, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but tell me I'm wrong in the comments. Was this finale secretly genius, or a frustrating letdown dressed as emotional closure? Because I'm sitting in the middle of that argument, popcorn in one hand, conspiracy board in the other. And if you've been following Breakdown Epic long enough, you know what's coming next. Yeah, We're about to go full red string detective on how this episode secretly connects to Creature Commandos, Superman, Man of Tomorrow, and even the Authority. But before we dive into that, answer this. If you were in Peacemaker's place, locked in salvation, betrayed by a man you once respected, would you try to escape, or would you try to change it from the inside? Let me know in the comments, because your answer says more about you than you think. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for what's coming next. Okay, now that we've peeled back the surface, let's talk about the elephant in the DCU room. Or, maybe more accurately, the Lex Luthor in the shadows. Because let's be honest, this finale wasn't just Peacemaker's story. It was James Gunn's soft confession. A coded announcement that his universe isn't going to be built on gods and icons. It's going to be built on broken people. That's the forbidden knowledge hiding inside this episode. Gunn's DCU won't start with Superman saving the world. It's starting with Peacemaker failing to save himself. And that inversion, that's storytelling witchcraft. Now let's go deeper. Remember when Peacemaker said, "I cherish peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, or children I have to kill to get it." That line haunted Season 1, but Season 2 flipped it. It's not about peace anymore. It's about penance. That's the theme Gunn just locked into place for his entire DCU. Every hero will face the version of themselves they can't stand. Superman facing control, Batman facing irrelevance, Flag facing corruption, and Peacemaker, he's facing the possibility that he was never the hero at all. That's where I think people misunderstood this finale. They expected a war. What Gunn gave us was a mirror. And if you look closely, that mirror shows the shape of things to come. Because checkmate, that new team Gunn introduced at the end, that's not just a cool Easter egg, it's the DCU's moral compass. In the comics, checkmate operates in the gray, balancing governments, metahumans, and chaos. But here, Gunn turned them into something more dangerous. A reaction to ARG-US, a rogue intelligence network founded by people who finally stopped believing in orders. It's wild, right? Because it's literally what Peacemaker's been fighting against since episode 1, blind loyalty. Now, I have to say it, the symbolism of that portal scene, Peacemaker being dragged into salvation by ARG-US agents, isn't just a cool shot. It's an exile narrative. He's being punished for refusing to play by the rules. Exactly like Gunn himself when he was kicked out of Marvel before being hired to reboot DC. And yes, that's right, Gunn literally wrote his own redemption arc into Peacemaker. It's poetic, it's self-aware. It's also kind of insane when you realize he used John Cena's broken anti-hero to process being fired and rehired by 2 comic book empires. Talk about cinematic therapy. Now, let's have a little fun. Because I know what some of you are thinking. You're reading too much into this, Sophia. It's just a superhero show. But come on. Have you met James Gunn? This is the same guy who made a raccoon sobbing in space one of the most emotional moments in cinema. He doesn't do just a superhero show. Everything in this finale had meaning. Even the absence of a big CGI battle. That was deliberate rebellion against the Marvel model. Gunn saying, "You want explosions? Go to the other universe. Over here, we're blowing up your expectations instead." Now, let's circle back to something that's been bugging me. Rick Flag Sir's sudden loyalty shift. Because on the surface, yeah, it's inconsistent. But dig deeper, and it's exactly the kind of foreshadowing Gunn loves to hide in plain sight. Remember the laughing sequence? The one that felt cartoonishly long. That wasn't awkward writing. That was a glitch in Flag's personality. He's not laughing, he's looping. If Lex Luthor has indeed begun experimenting with neural reprogramming, as the Salvation Project hints, then what we're seeing is the birth of DCU's ultimate weapon. A world where heroes can be edited. And that's terrifying. That means the entire concept of free will in Gunn's DCU is now up for grabs. Superman, Peacemaker, even the Creature Commandos, they could all be puppets of the same invisible system, which, by the way, connects directly to that Superman Man of Tomorrow teaser Gunn dropped on Threads. The one with the faint whisper saying, "Rewrite." Everyone thought it was about rebooting the franchise. But what if it's literal? What if the first DCU movie literally deals with heroes being rewritten at a neurological level? That's where Peacemaker's finale becomes genius. Because it sets up that existential horror, a world where even your heroism can be hacked. Now let me pull you into a hypothetical, because I want your take on this. If you woke up tomorrow and found out your entire moral compass was a script written by someone else, would you still fight for what's right, or would you burn it all down? Tell me in the comments. Seriously, I read them all, and your answers always inspire new theories for upcoming videos. Because the truth is, this finale wasn't just about Peacemaker, it's about us. We, the audience, are also being reprogrammed. Gunn is forcing us to question our obsession with spectacle, and demanding that we feel something instead. And judging by that finale, it's working. Now, let's talk about Peacemaker and Harcourt, because that kiss, that one simple, delayed, devastatingly tender kiss, was the heart of the whole season. It wasn't about romance, it was about closure. For once, Peacemaker didn't hide behind jokes or guns, he just was. And when Harcourt said it meant everything to her, you could almost hear the echo of Season 1's guilt melting away. That's character evolution. That's what Gunn built this entire season to reach. No action scene could have topped that. Still, I know fans are divided. Some wanted chaos, others wanted closure. But here's my take. You can't build a universe on explosions. You build it on people. And that's exactly what Gunn did here. Which brings me to my favorite reveal. Checkmate's foundation scene, that quiet moment where Peacemaker's team decides to start their own agency, wasn't just cool fan service. It was a declaration of independence from the old DCU order. Our guess, Luthor Task Force, their relics. Checkmate is the new symbol of balance. And if you think that name's just random, go Google it. Checkmate in the comics connects directly to Amanda Waller, Batman, and the Justice League's moral gray zones. So yeah, you bet Gunn's planting seeds for crossovers. But here's the real kicker. I don't think we're done with Peacemaker yet. Even though Gunn said there's no plan for Season 3, I'd bet my entire comment section that Cena will return in Superman Man of Tomorrow. Why? Because the DCU needs a moral mirror. Someone to remind Superman that perfection is a lie. That's Peacemaker's role now, not comic relief. Not a side mission, the conscience of a corrupted system. You can already picture it, right? Superman flying into salvation, the cells humming with suppressed heroes, a voice from the shadows, Cena's voice, saying, "So you're the new guy trying to save us all." Chills. Absolute chills. Now, if you've made it this far, you already know how Breakdown Epic does it. We don't just review, we unmask. And if you're new here, this is your official invitation. Hit subscribe, join the Breakdown Squad, and let's keep decoding the secrets they don't want us to notice. Because here's the truth, James Gunn isn't building a cinematic universe. He's building a moral experiment. And Peacemaker Season 2's finale, that was the first test. So yeah, maybe it wasn't the explosive ending we wanted, but it was absolutely the one we needed. And as always, I'll end with this question. The same one Peacemaker's probably asking himself in that silent cell right now. When the world tells you you're the villain, do you stop fighting, or do you start rewriting the story yourself?